Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends in Finland, it is a great honor for me to address you on behalf of the State of Israel and the Embassy in Helsinki on the occasion of the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Let me thank the Finnish Holocaust Remembrance Association and the Alpha TV for this special program. Today, the international community comes together to remember the 6 million Jewish men, women, and children who were murdered during the Holocaust, as well as other victims. This year, the remembrance does not happen in the form of physical gatherings, but instead online, on social media, through virtual events, and on TV and radio. This, nevertheless, does not reduce the significance of Holocaust remembrance, maybe even the contrary. The Holocaust was one of the most significant turning points of the 20th century, an unprecedented human tragedy that impacted the whole humanity. It did not happen long ago nor far away, but just well over 70 years ago in the midst of this continent. Standing as an example of ultimate evil, it shows us where anti-Semitism and consistent persecution of one ethnic group could lead us into. The extent of the tragedy and how much was lost can be better understood when looking at the rich and prosperous life Jewish communities had enjoyed in Europe before the war. The Holocaust was perpetrated by Nazi Germany, but it would have never been possible without the help of local collaborators in different countries and the many bystanders who remained silent. This is why we should never stop remembering, never stop learning about the Holocaust. It is even more important these days because the number of the first-hand witnesses, Holocaust survivors, is sadly dramatically decreasing around the world. One day, when we do not have survivors any longer amongst us, it is upon us to tell their stories. You and me, all of us have our responsibility to raise awareness and to teach our future generations. Remembering and learning about the Holocaust is crucial also because of the fact that even today, there are still individuals and countries who do not believe the Holocaust ever happened. Anti-Semitic attacks and hate speech against Jews are sadly still alive in Europe and in other parts of the world. During the Corona crisis, we have witnessed this also in the form of various conspiracy theories against Jews. In addition, we are also confronted by new forms of modern anti-Semitism, which are targeting Israel, for example, by questioning the legitimacy of the existence of the State of Israel. In order to confront these dangerous developments, we have to come together as individuals and as representatives of different countries, religions, and generations, not just on this day of commemoration, but every single day. I want to believe that the existence of the State of Israel and the rising awareness and international cooperation against anti-Semitism, racism, and xenophobia will ensure the security and well-being of Jewish communities around the world. Together, as an international community, we can and we should ensure that a history does not repeat itself. Only that way we can change the future. Thank you.
Today, we commemorate the victims of the Shoah, the atrocities carried out by Germans in the time of the so-called Third Reich are the reason why we gather today. In the face of growing anti-Semitism in Europe, including in my home country, Germany, it is even more important to remember and to learn from the past. We are committed to creating a world without hatred, discrimination, and ultimately, genocide. The historian Jehuda Bauer put it in perspective. I quote, "Anti-Semitism is not a Jewish problem. Anti-Semitism is a problem for all the societies in which it grows." He addressed the ministerial meeting of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance in 2020, the IRA. As the outgoing chairmanship of this alliance, Germany has put strong emphasis on this, to uphold the memory of those murdered, focus on Holocaust education and research, and on the fight against distortion and denial of the Shoah, be it in the streets or in social media. As Yehuda Bauer put it, I quote, "The Holocaust is unprecedented, but it is not unique. It could happen again. We are here because we want to avoid that," unquote. In Helsinki, we organized a virtual meeting between a Holocaust survivor, Inge Auerbach from New York, and students from different schools in Finland last November. While remembering the atrocities of the past, in 2021, Germany will celebrate 1,700 years of Jewish life and culture in Germany. Jewish faith and traditions are part of our culture in Germany and Europe. We shall make the life, achievements and contributions of Jewish citizens to our well-being and the very fabric of our civilization visible to all. This is also to reinforce our commitment to the never again. No to anti-Semitism, no to hatred. I repeat the statement the federal president made at Yad Vashem last year. I quote, "Together we make this commitment today. A world that remembers the Holocaust, a world without genocide." Thank you. Kiitos.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we commemorate the 76th anniversary of the liberation of the German Nazi concentration and extermination camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. This year, the main theme of the anniversary will be the fate of children in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Over 200,000 innocent children were murdered and perished there. Several millions of Jews, including 3 million of my compatriots, Polish Jews, were exterminated in Auschwitz-Birkenau and other German Nazi concentration camps. This is one of the darkest facts from the history of mankind. People to people gave this fate. This quotation from the war stories written by Polish author Zofia Naukowska highlights the incomprehensible fact that seemingly ordinary people, civil servants, military personnel, normal members of the society, invented the atrocious machine of systemic murders directed at innocent victims. As we reflect on the past, we must not neglect the present. We have to remember that what happened to the Jews during World War II was a result of a Nazi policy that started long before the war, a policy that most of the world was indifferent to. History is the greatest teacher, but only if we draw conclusions from the past events. Otherwise, it can be repeated. The discrimination on basis of religion, nationality, or ethnicity cannot be tolerated if we want to honor victims of the Holocaust. As we remember them and mourn for them, we must face the challenges of today's world and help those in need. The resolution establishing the International Holocaust Remembrance Day envisaged twofold approach, focusing on commemorations of those who were massacred during the Holocaust and on educating young people of horrors of the Nazi deeds to help prevent future acts of genocide. The resolution condemns all manifestations of religious intolerance, incitement, harassment, or violence against persons or communities based on ethnic origin or religious beliefs. We should make sure that every criminal act of inciting hatred against other people, whether it is motivated by anti-Semitism or any other kind of racism and prejudice, is always severely punished. This is the way to show that we commemorate and pay tribute to the Holocaust victims, not just once a year, but every day in our attitudes and actions. Thank you very much.